So, sorry about the delay, everybody. We are here with João Moreira. We had some technical issues today, but I think that we are going fine right now. So please, João, introduce yourself to our people. We are here for another webinar. This time we're going to talk about immersive sounds and applications on XR and retail and how can sound disrupt experiences. And we have João Moreira from Dimersions. Sorry about the name. I really.
It's Dimersions. It's correct. The first one was correct.
Okay. So please, João, introduce yourself and let's do this.
Okay. So I guess I can start by saying my name is João Moreira, and I am the co-founder and CTO of Dimersions, which is a startup that's creating futuristic solutions that businesses can use today. So mainly we're working with AR and VR and doing all kinds of awesome things. So as you can see on the screen, I'm a full stack developer. I'm also a sound engineer. So the passion for sound has always been a constant in my life. In Dimersions, we create ready-made plug-and-play products for very specific industries like restaurants and hotels. And we also design custom experiences, mainly with the focus on using sound in interesting ways. So on this short webinar, I'm going to focus on four main subjects. So how listening has evolved throughout times, audio that goes beyond sound, immersive audio, of course, and spatial sound for consumers. So doing a very quick recap on the history of audio. So it's been roughly 140 years since we started recording and reproducing audio. And we started, of course, with mono audio. And then we went all the way up to the standards that we have today with spatial audio or 360 audio or 3D audio. So starting with mono sound, that's how it all started. It's how we began recording. It's just one channel, usually reproduced on one speaker. And it sounds something like, I'm gonna use a song by a band here from Madeira Island, where we have our headquarters. They are called Thus Unspoken. I recently produced their album, and I'm going to use that a little part of a song to show the differences and the evolution that we have. So a mono track is something like this. So. So as you can see, everything is in the same place, everything is centered, everything is completely focused on the same 2D and 3D place. But that's what we could do at the time, and there are a lot of amazing music that was recorded in this way. Then experimentation started, and we evolved into 2-track sound. So they were still experimenting in how to do and what to do with 2 tracks. And you have a lot of Beatles albums that were adapted into 2-track from mono. And what you have as an example is something like this, okay? So as you can hear, the drums are on the left side, the guitars are on the right side. It was just playing around. Then, of course, we reached the stereo sound, our current standards. And with stereo sound, we can mix in 2 dimensions, so left, right, forward, and backwards. Still completely focused on a kind of stage reproduction of sound. But yeah, to that, you have something like this. Okay, so you can hear a much more immersive, much more involving sound. Everything is positioned just like it should be. Then, of course, because movies demanded more than just a stage, we had to evolve, and we evolved into surround sound. Surround sound being Dolby 5.1 being the main standard that evolved from that, allows us to have not only front-facing sound, but also backwards-facing sound. So with that, it was possible to make sound go beyond the screen and wrapping all around you. And an example of that surround sound would be something like, well, little glitch here, of course. Okay, getting it really quickly. Okay, so well, an example of surround sound is basically the ability to hear behind you. I'm going to mix it along with the next one, which is spatial sound, and show both of them at the same time. You can have something like this. So it's all around you. You can clearly hear things coming from behind, things coming from the front. And when the voice starts, you can start hearing it going up and back and then down again. Okay, so spatial sound gave us another dimension. It allowed us finally, yeah.
Sorry. The sound is higher than your voice. If you
okay.
if you could play again and say it again what you said, because
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. Let me just play it again. So let's see, like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I was trying to say, so you can hear the sound enveloping all around you, but also when the voice starts, you're going to hear it going up and then to the back.
Flowing displacement, I got it for ramifications.
Okay, so that's what spatial sound brought to us. For the first time, we are completely in control of every single positioning of every single sound. And that is a very, very big thing, because if you can make someone believe that something is right behind them, or at the left but very far away, or at right but really up there, like a plane or a helicopter, you can give them new experiences. But sound is more than just music, is more than just soundtracks. Sound has always been used also as an utility. So since the beginning of time, sound was used to make armies do stuff. So to send messages along big distances in order to synchronize different parts of a huge army, for example. Then we evolved that, and we actually created a technology and a code for it, the Morse code, with the Morse's telegraph, that allowed sound to accurately convey written messages using very specific codes. Then, of course, who doesn't remember the awesome sounds of your first dial-up modem? So that was using the frequencies from 300 hertz to 3300 hertz. So the frequency specific to voice, using it to modulate data and thus allowing us to access the internet at very low speeds, yes, but access the internet for the first time using sound. And nowadays, there's an amazing thing. We finally have a speaker and a microphone that stays with us at all times, which basically allows us for the first time to send information, send data in byte sizes, but send it from one smartphone to the other, or from an array of speakers to your smartphone to your tablet, and thus using audio to transmit messages and data. And for that, we, for example, use our own solution called Unheard of that allows to control one speaker, one smartphone, or many smartphones in very interesting ways, just by using unhearable sounds, which are so high in frequency that most people can hear them. And as an example, I can show you this. So after activating all of those devices, we can send the sound and use it to change the color of the screen, for example. And again, changing it, and now showing, for example, some lyrics for a song. Imagine this in live show. It's an amazing way to augment reality on that live concert show. But let's talk about immersive audio. Okay, and what is immersive audio? Immersive audio, for me, in my definition, is of course it's spatial sound, it's 3D sound, but it's that specification applied to immersive technologies such as VR and AR. And the beauty of it is that it can take you, just by using sound, it can take you to other dimensions, and it can expand your reality very, very high. So how do we do it? Well, there are mainly three ways that we can do immersive sound. The first of them, and the easiest one, is called binaural audio. And that makes use of the fact that we hear differently between our left ear and our right ear. And those differences are what allows us as humans to guess where a sound comes from. So using the psychoacoustics of all of this, because we don't hear only with our ears, we also hear with our brains. So by making use of psychoacoustics, we can easily fool someone to think that something is coming from behind or from the front. And the easiest way to do it is recording using a dummy head that makes use of two very tiny microphones inside the ears of the dummy head and records it as if you were listening to it. The only problem with binaural audio is that it doesn't record any kind of location or gyroscope information, so it's always static. If something is back there, it will still be back there even if I turn my head around. Ambisonics, on the other hand, record a sphere all around you. It's a great solution when you want to capture very accurately the acoustics or the movements of several sounds happening inside a specific space. And this and comparing this to binaural, this allows you to accurately record a 360 degree by 360 degree space, which, using any kind of technology that involves gyroscopes, from mobile phones to VR headsets or AR headsets, or even using headphones that already allow for spatial sound you can explore these sounds, and you can feel it as if they were all around you. And then you have a third solution, and that's called object-based sound or point-based sound. And the great difference between this and ambisonics is that it allows you to attach sounds to 3D objects. So a 3D object that goes from front left to back right and has a sound attached to it, makes use of an algorithm to simulate the acoustics of a place, and then delivers you with a very believable experience. The problem with this is that you have to use mono sounds, mono recordings, mono samples to attach to the 3D object, and at the same time, the sound will be as good as your algorithm for the acoustic simulation. So these are the three main ways to do immersive sound. All of them make use of very different technologies, but the best thing is that they are not at all exclusive. So the best use and the best way to make immersive audio is to use the three of them. So, for example, you can make use of binaural to make sounds that are supposed to be inside the head of the user. So it makes no difference if the person turns their head around, because the sounds are there. Or maybe it's something that's attached to the user or follows it around. It's a great way to use it. The ambisonics are better to create accurate acoustics and accurate photographs, audio photographs of places. But they can also be positioned using object-based, so that when you enter, for example, a canyon, you have that amazing acoustic sound of maybe some rocks, some small rocks falling, or the echo of someone walking. You can have all of that in a very specific way, because you made use of an object-based positioning of an ambisonic sphere. So when we merge all of this, we get a very, very interesting and very immersive experience. And you can never forget that your user, when he uses headphones, will always be hearing a binaural reproduction of whatever sound you did. So everything gets converted to 2 ears at the end. So what I'm going to show you here is a very small experience that I created specifically for this webinar, where I made use of those 3 techniques to create a binaural experience that everyone hearing with headphones can now experience. So it's going to be right here. So I hope you like it.
Okay, this is it. This is exactly the place where it happened. So there we were. The night was dark. The waves were crashing into the sand. And we were sitting in this precise staircase. She was here, right next to me. And I looked into her eyes and started to lean towards her. And I started to lean a bit closer and a bit closer. And we were so close already when she smiled and started to lean back. And then, all of a sudden, she looks to the side and with a frightening face she says, "What the hell is that?"
So, in this very short experience, you
So,
get.
a
Mhm.
recommendation. It might sound silly, but it's very, very interesting if you listen to this with your eyes closed, so you can
Yes.
see exactly what João is saying. So
Yeah, and as you is completely right. If you close your eyes, the experience will be 10 times better, because you won't be distracted by anything else, and you can experience it and also live it a little bit more, and actually perceive what I was trying to showcase here, which is the fact that you have binaural audio for the narrator. You have an ambisonic capture of a beach, but then you have the object based sound of footsteps in the sand. So by merging these three things, you get complete control, and you get to optimize each and every single source of audio to get the experience you want. And to finalize it, I'm going to talk a little bit about so immersive audio and audio for retail experiences. So AR for headphones. This is something very interesting and very very close to the work we do, and something that was made possible a couple of years at most recently. Mainly, it was made possible by Bose, which released the first AR-enabled headphones, and then the first AR-enabled sunglasses, just for sound. And they kept working on it until they got to build the Bose 700, which is an amazing headphone that also is Bose AR enabled. So with it, you can listen and explore an ambisonic recording or spatial audio recording or any kind of those experiences by moving your head around, by ducking and tilting your head up. And that allows for a lot of different experiences. But for example, imagine uh, the the last example, but imagine that you could actually explore all the sounds around you by looking at them, or when you hear someone in the back, you can look to them and you can not see but hear more vividly what is being said. The same thing, for example, when you're in a museum, someone can tell you, well, right here, and if the sound comes from here, you are usually automatically uh, you feel like being forced to look there. So it's a great way to do orientation within a room or within a specific space. And this also allows you to capture moments in time. For example, that same ambisonic capture of the beach without the voice, it was made here in Madeira Island, and for we did it for an installation that unfortunately uh, was cancelled due to the coronavirus, but will be showcased, I'm sure, in the near future. That allows you to explore several places in Madeira using only sound. So several parts of Madeira, you get to hear Madeira like never before. Um, Another example of a great use of audio using beam focused audio. So what is beam focused audio? Well, it's the use of physics, and in this case audio wave physics, to do momentary canceling between two sound waves so that they will only be hearable within a very specific place and within a very specific height from the floor. So basically, you're beaming sound towards the floor, and upon its reflection, you're calculating the exact place where it starts being heardable. And this allows to do very interesting things. Heineken did a very amazing advertisement where they talked with people that were within a small circle inside the shopping center, and kind of convinced them to buy a Heineken from a voice from the sky that no one else could hear. But it's a great way to to send audio towards someone that is like the image here, that is trying to decide upon something. And if you can have a speaker following or basically aligned with that person, you can send information to it, or you can talk to it, even at a very big distance. So kind of a remote consultation, which in this day and age can be very interesting due to all the COVID-19 situation. And at the same time, you can also use sound to trigger experiences. Use sound to trigger other sounds or other 3D experiences. Like I talked before, using our unheard of technology, we can send very short bursts of audio at very high frequencies that most people can't hear at all, but trigger either native applications or web applications, and allowing you to have more information on something, or simply be rewarded by the fact that you followed a specific path, or you have been listening to something for X amount of time. So let's say, for example, a radio wants to reward their most loyal listeners. They could do it by sending codes from time to time, and then if you accumulated X amount of codes, you would get a reward. It would be a great way also to evaluate how long people stay listening to the same radio station, for example. And these are just some examples of all the amazing things you can do with audio. And as I said before, we love to work with it, and we're very open to work with all kinds of XR and VR teams to make these experiences come true. So I guess, Anezio, you may have some very interesting questions for me.
Yes, João, yes. Actually, thanks again for this
Yeah,
useful
I sped it
information.
up. I sped it up a little bit, maybe maybe too much, but well,
No, let's get back to some things here. Uh, there is something really important when you work with sound in immersive experiences, because people usually don't think a lot about it. But
yes.
the sound is a really important tool to make the experience more immersive.
Yes,
Uh,
it's just like in a movie where the soundtrack makes all the difference.
yeah,
And if you switch it around, the movie gets completely different.
yeah,
On an immersive experience where you have a 360-degree experience around you, the positioning of sound is much easier for us as humans to follow
yeah,
when compared to images.
yeah.
So you may see something going to the left, but if you hear it going to the left, you're going to look
Mhm.
much faster because we're built like that. It's our
Yes,
human nature.
in a lot of experiences, we lack that guide, because one of the first things that the new users to VR or XR experiences, Yeah, they usually do is when they are in that 360 area, they don't know where to go. They start to
Yeah.
look everywhere, and if you don't have a guidance, people
Hmm.
get lost. And when they
Yes.
get lost, it's tough to recover to the position. And so, sound is very, very important to use as a guidance. We can see some newer productions using voiceover to guide to call the users. Just simple stuff like come to this way, come to this
Yeah.
way, with a voice coming from the left or the right position.
Or
And
even coming from the exact place where you should go,
yeah,
so that you get the sense of, am I near or am I far?
yeah,
And that's the amazing part of object-based audio, is that you can actually position it to the, not the pixel in this case, but to the centimeter.
yeah, yeah. And I've been reading something that AR can be used with, it can use immersive sound as well,
Yes.
because as the same sense that in DVR you can get guidance from the sound, when you're looking for something with your mobile or tablet or even those glasses, AR, as you told before, those glasses, they can guide you. And that project from Bose was a really, really interesting idea, because
Yes.
you could get a cool guidance through the city, just knowing where you are by listening. You don't need to get your mobile, don't need to get your anything else. Just hear what is in your above your ear, and you can get
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah, it was a very, very amazing technology that unfortunately Bose just recently decided not to go on with. But the good thing is, the exact same week they said they weren't going to continue, Apple came out and said, so from now on iOS 14, the AirPods Pro will have spatial sound. And that will open a very important door to all of us working with immersive sound, because for the first time, something that Apple makes has spatial sound. And Apple, being the machine that it is, will, no question, start to advertise spatial sound as being the best thing since sliced bread. So I'm pretty sure that will change the current state of things, just because Apple will push it so hard, and because it is actually a very interesting thing. Yeah, you can do so much with just sound, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what happened to Bose is part of the evolution of those technologies. It's hard to implement something new like this, and it's as we as startups, as entrepreneurs, we know that some people just don't understand the new technologies or
Yes.
the applications. Actually, that's why I asked you to talk a little bit more about retail, is because this is one good application for immersive sounds.
Yes.
And
Yes. And
museums are really, really great when they can use the sound to make people understand a little bit more about what they are seeing. There is one
completely agree, and more than that, usually museums, being these old, big buildings, they have amazing acoustics.
yeah, yeah,
So when you capture something inside of it and you reproduce it using headphones, people actually get the feeling of being there. So when you think about something like the Natural History Museum in London, and if you think about getting dinosaurs to come to life, even if it's just sound, people will go crazy about it, because it actually feels like they are there. We also have another project that we call VR Walkables, and we make heavy use of sound to get people to go to specific places where they can witness a VR experience. So all you get is audio, like you're tuning a radio. All you get is audio until finally you get to the place and the static disappears and you finally get a 360 image. But before that, you get 360 audio. And this concept, which we have been working a lot for the past years, is finally gaining some momentum. Really is a great way to tell stories and to tell new kinds of stories. Because I'm always fascinated by the fact that my Lisbon is different from your Lisbon, and it's different from anyone's Lisbon. Uh, and 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 it can even be a fictional Lisbon where dragons exist. I don't know, but all of those stories together can exist and coexist within the same place. And these audio AR experiences are a very cheap and quick way for people to create those stories and make them come true.
Yeah, that was another point that I would like you to talk a little bit more about. How about the cost of doing those audio productions? Does it
Yeah.
make much more expensive to do it, to use it?
Well, I kind of see it as 360 video, for example. It's not more costly to do, but it does require a completely different approach to it. So when you can't be behind the camera, when you can't, when you need to think in 360, with these kinds of audio, it happens the same. So you can focus sound to a specific place, but you also need to think, okay, but I'm capturing this whole sphere, and now there's one guy behind me that's, I don't know, tapping with his feet or something like that. Um, Plus, in this case, being audio, the technology is always the same. It's microphones, it's speakers, something we know very well and master, and it's easy to master. And at the same time, there's already a lot of gear available for you to experiment. For example, in the case of binaural audio, there are a lot of binaural microphones that people doing ASMR videos on YouTube use a lot. Also, for example, I have this really small Zoom microphone that I like to take around and to collect stuff. And this is amazing. It's really good. It gets really good audio. It's cheap, and it captures a second order ambisonics. Of course, when I want to go bigger, I need a special microphone with 16 capsules. This one, if you can see it, this one it's just 4 capsules.
Yeah.
But if you go 8 capsules or 16 capsules, you get better accuracy, you get better quality. But of course, it's like buying a very, very advanced camera, like a red or something. It's something you do when you get to a level, but that doesn't make this any useful, or that doesn't make these any low. It's not low quality if you do it like this.
I see. There is a great example of how immersive audio can guide you in an experience. You can guys can search in YouTube. There is one called Shakespeare in VR.
Mm-hmm.
The Shakespeare in VR was recorded in the huge area where you have some actors working in different places, and it was just shot in one place. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of cameras, and the action goes around in a lot of different places, and you are guided by the voices of the ghosts of the place, the people are over there. And a great example of how audio can guide you through the scenes in a good way.
Completely. And also, if you think of the next step, just like within immersive video, we're going into volumetric capture. In this specific case, by using object-based audio along with volumetric capture, you actually get to walk alongside the character you want. So in a Shakespeare play, you could go and see what he's saying, and then walk alongside him, and kind of feel like you're that character, and make that choice of, I want to be here, I want to hear from this place. The same thing can be done with a live show. I want to hear the sound from the vocals perspective.
Yeah.
I want to feel what it is to be singing in front of 20,000 people. You can do that with immersive audio, and that's an amazing experience.
Yeah, and as you told, this brings the capability of bringing new perspectives. You can watch a show besides the drummer, and between the drummer and the vocalist, between the drummer and the guitar player,
Yeah,
and you can see and hear the differences
yeah,
of those places. One of the important things that usually the brain understands that you are not in a different world, because you have not only the visual and the audio, but you have the place. You are not in that place with the full
yeah.
body, right? But when you have a good audio, good sound, it makes you feel more immersive in that experience.
Completely. And if you have like so speakers will always be better than headphones, and there's no way about it, because speakers move a lot of hair, and part of hearing music is feeling it too.
Okay.
But when you get that complete experience, and some headphones now are incorporating like haptics
Yeah.
within the smartphone, so that you can actually feel the motion of the air. When you get all of that, the experience becomes true. And you can get so close to be completely immersed, even if the video is not that good. If you can compensate with audio, you get an amazing experience.
So, what are the next steps of the immersions? What do you have in mind? Do you have any projects that you can talk about for us?
Well, we're working a lot in making products for restaurants and hotels and
Mhm.
museums. Um, Not all of them incorporating audio, but all of them being web-based, because we are firm believers that AR and AR on the web is like the best solution
Yeah.
for the user, for the
Mhm.
end user. Not the best solution for developers,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of limitations you have to work with, but for the user, it's the best solution. Even if Apple recently launched the app clips, which are really interesting, and we are already working on it, but still, the web is the way to go. Also, we're working, as I said before, in our walkables, which are stories you can walk into, which is a concept we firmly believe in. But being both software and content takes a lot of time to build, but we hope that until the end of the year, we will have some news and some good stories that you can walk into too.
And you guys are looking for any kind of partnerships, because
Yeah, no, completely. Our main focus and our main goal is working with immersive audio. It's something we're good at and something we love to do. And we would love to work with any kinds of XR, VR, AR companies that feel like they could uh, do a little bit better on that side, so that we can help out, because it's by working in teams that's how we progress. It's cooperation, mainly in Portugal. We're a small country, and if we can work together and make use of our specialties, I'm pretty sure we can make an amazing ecosystem for all of this. So yeah, please all of you that work in these areas, and even musicians and producers that want to do something different, that want to try out new stuff. Please approach us. You have our contacts on the screen. We love to do things. We love to do experiments and create new stuff, any kinds of stuff.
And do you think that the post-COVID era is going to be, at least here in Portugal, a little bit easier to sell those tourist applications, or do you think that we're still coming back to the what it was last year?
Well, I think yes, it's going to be easier. Well, it already kind of is. I can already see some things in motion, at least on our side,
Mhm.
that in the past were completely impossible, but that right now, because of this situation, are being seen. Okay, that's a solution that we can embrace. Plus, if we go just to the VR side, the fact that the Quest is selling as good as it is, plus the fact that PS5 will be coming in Christmas. So probably next year we will have a new version of the PSVR. That's really exciting news, and that can completely change the landscape for people doing VR. Because a PSVR 2 with 6 DOF and spatial audio will make huge waves in terms of accurately representing other worlds. So I think we're, I don't know, that's maybe speaking out of hope, but I'm hoping that next year will be amazing for VR and AR too.
If you had to choose between AR and VR, would you choose one, or you think that both are going their separate
Well,
ways and different speeds?
Well, I think they need to be taken in separate ways. It's completely different user experiences. It's like reading a book and seeing the movie. It's different. The book is meant for you to enjoy alone on your space by yourself using your imagination, whereas the movie is made as a passive experience that you watch. So for me, VR is the book, is that introspective. I'm alone and I want to live and I want to go somewhere far away where no one can touch me. Whereas AR is the opposite, is the social experience, is like it's going to the movies with your friends. It's amazing, and but we need to look at these two things very differently. And then you have mixed reality, which is like everything put together in a way that you're replacing our world, which is absolutely amazing for me, and which I hope to to see working within the next years, next few years. Uh, and I think it's when everything is going to change. But up until then, we have AR experiences, and we as developers need to think about those experiences as being completely different, and being a completely different experience and user experience than VR. Because and we need to make them more useful. I think one of the problems that AR has right now is showing itself as being useful for the end user. There's a lot of entertainment stuff, which is amazing, but it only lasts for some days. Uh, but the usefulness of AR, which is by far its biggest use, like EasyJet did, where you could measure the size of your bag using AR.
Yeah.
That is the kind of things I want developers to do, because when that starts happening, people will start noticing that AR is not just a gimmick, it's not just a fad, it's something actually useful.
And that's another point that I want to talk. Do you think that because when you look to the great productions of VR, for example, VR will have a lot of training stuff, a lot of things doing for medical, for industry, for any kind of training.
Mhm.
Or you have games.
Yeah,
You don't have the midway where you can
yeah,
go, as for example as AR that we were talking about.
yes,
AR basically today is for gaming. You can use it for gaming and again for training, for a lot of
yeah.
things. Do you see anything different from that? Because uh, uh,
Well,
most of those experiences, they are tailor made. They are
yeah,
not something in the shelf where you can go buy. Okay, I'm gonna use it. Boom.
yeah.
The games are
Well,
like this.
yeah. So, well, I guess that there's three topics there. So one, the fact that most of VR things are for business and training, that's due to the fact that investors usually just invest in companies doing that. So as for the gaming, well, VR for gaming was always a safe bet
Yep.
for any kind of company. It makes sense. The one thing I think I regret, that was done with VR in the past, however, is the fact that unlike any entertainment industry before, it went straight to consumers, and I think that was a wrong idea. So movies started at the cinema, audio started at the theater and at the radios that only rich people had. Games started at the arcade.
Yeah.
Okay, so why did VR start almost directly? At least the modern age of VR started directly trying to approach the client, the end user. It was a mistake. It was not ready, and that was why VR went up and then down, and now is slowly coming out of the ashes.
So
So
you think that the users need someone to explain the experience? Is something like
no,
this?
no, users need the best experience possible.
Oh, okay.
Users need to see VR in a 5,000 euro computer running with the X-stall that has 8K.
Okay.
That's what end users needed. They needed to see that so that they could go, oh my God, this is amazing. I want this for my life.
Not that
And
roller
that,
coaster, right?
yeah, not the roller coaster running on a smartphone with half full, with HD screen, but not full HD screen. That that kind of damaged the VR reputation, in my opinion. And I wish there was a big VR arcade right at the beginning, where someone could purchase 5,000, 10,000 euros worth of equipment to make the best VR experience possible. If that had been the approach, we would have gotten to the quest much quicker. The quest is for me the perfect format and the perfect equipment right now to enjoy VR. And when the Quest 2 comes out, it's going to be even better, of course. But it's the perfect experience. Uh, for as long as we don't have 5G, when we have 5G, that's a whole completely different story. But until we have it, the Quest is definitely my go-to experience for everyone to try.
And they are betting on it because even the Oculus Go, they already
Yeah,
put
it's
an end
off
of it.
off
Yeah.
the off the shelves now.
This was
Yeah,
something surprising because the
and it
Oculus Go
and
doesn't have even 2 years.
yeah, yeah, true, very true. And it's for me, it's even more surprising because Lenovo just recently started selling the Mirage S3,
Yeah,
S3, which is
the
a
same thing.
version of Pico G3.
Painted all black.
I love, yeah, I love Pico VR. By the way, we work with them, and we have one of their most recent equipments for test now, which is absolutely amazing. So very good resolution, eye tracking,
Mhm.
to do foveated rendering. It's amazing.
But they are
But
looking for
yeah,
industrial
it's for
use, right?
business.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's business.
it's business.
Once I've talked to
Uh,
one representative from them, and they
yeah,
told that they are not interested in the end user as regular users.
it
Maybe
makes
because they
sense.
because they don't wanna. Maybe there is a new channel that they have to build and they don't want it.
Yeah,
And the other end is the cost of the equipment. It's not as
yeah.
low as the Quest or the Oculus Go.
Well, and let's face it, who wants to go against Facebook?
Yeah,
Like they have a gazillion
yeah,
dollars to bet on marketing,
yeah.
and you're gonna go against them. It's really hard.
Mm.
But they have a very good product, and I wish I started seeing more of that in the arcades and all those installations, because it's really really good. The only problem being, and I already told them, the sound is really bad. but it always is. Aside from things like the index,
Yeah.
and I think the new reverb from Hewlett Packard, from HP,
Uh-huh.
also has good sound, but I haven't tested it yet. But aside from that, usually the sound is like completely second thought, which for me is very sad, because I do think that sound is like should be the major player,
Yeah, people have.
especially in headsets that have low resolution, because the sound can make that much better.
Yeah, people. I've heard about Valve Index too, and what is a little bit strange for me, it's because as it doesn't seal your ears,
Yeah,
maybe you have some interference from the other outside.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not.
you do, and it's on purpose, because their idea is that since you're not seeing the outside, at least you should hear it, so
Mm.
that you don't step on your dog or on your cat when it walks around. It makes some sense. Although I have to say that the Oculus Quest has a much better solution for that right now, where you just tap on the side and
Mhm.
it enters camera mode.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's the best solution ever. I just wish those cameras were true color. If they were, you would have a really good mixed reality headset.
Okay, João. Do you want to say anything else? Do you want to present anything else?
Well, I had some videos here that I could show, but I think that maybe we can attach them
The links. Yes.
yeah, I can put the links below, just so that people can see those examples. Like the Heineken advertising is really cool, and but I didn't want to play them, because I don't know how copyright works on those cases.
Yeah.
Also, for example, there's a very good game called Hellblade by Ninja Theory, and they make heavy use of binaural recordings,
Okay.
because the main character is mentally ill, and so you hear the sounds in her head, the voices in her head, just like the character would. And it's an amazing work. There's a lot of videos of them recording it, and I really really love what they're doing there. And it's just binaural, nothing else, but it feels like they're really inside your head, so it gets so scary, and the game is made much better because of it.
Okay. Just let me. So again, thank you very very much for being here with us.
Thank
We're
you for your invitation, and I hope that maybe, I don't know if there's interest by the users. If I if you want me to do a more technical, where I explain and show the software that you use to make immersive audio, because there's a lot of things in the market, and I think I narrowed it down to the ones that are easier to use and the workflow. So if there's any interest by the users seeing this, please tell me or tell VRARA, and I'm completely open to do a more technical
Okay,
webinar
let's think
on
about it.
this. Yeah.
There might be some applications for that too. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Well, we are approaching here 1 hour of webinar,
Yeah.
and that's really, really great. Thank you very much. We are going to make some edits in this video, but it will be available in our social networks and Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, here at YouTube,
Okay.
and we'll have your contacts. We will use your contacts too as well. So if people want to talk to you,
Yeah.
just follow your emails. I've seen that you have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The normal ones.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we also have LinkedIn, but I always forget to add the LinkedIn icon there. But everyone has LinkedIn as a company or a startup, so I think it's normal.
Okay, João. So that's it. Thank you again. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Anesi. And thank you, VRARA, for your invitation. And also thank you, APDC, because they made this possible. So thank you so much. And I hope we see everyone again.
Soon. Yeah. We are going to do some more webinars. So please keep following our social profiles. Yeah. Next week we have another great one with people from Matterport. And then till the end of the month we'll have another one about funding startups.
Nice.
So just keep following our social profiles, and you'll see and more information from here.
Okay.
Okay, João, thank you very much. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.